Hi, Alina. How are you?
Hi, Liam. I'm very good. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I'm very pleased to introduce Alina Klaseva, Sustainability Manager for Ideal of Sweden. I think I'm right in saying that Ideal of Sweden, a sort of fashion and accessories brand, is very much at the start of its sustainability journey and recently published its first report. You are the first sustainability officer, I believe, hired by the company. So it would be great, I think, or very interesting for people to hear about how your role is set up and what the sort of reporting structure is.
Yeah, so thank you for the lovely introduction. And yeah, so first of all, it's important to note, to say that indeed we have only started our serious sustainability work only a year ago, almost to the date. And what we started with is we created a corporate responsibility and sustainability policy that really defines the framework for the approach of sustainability throughout the Ideal of Sweden governing platform. And yeah, so my role is as a sustainability lead. I report directly to the CEO and I'm part of the senior management. And so I'm responsible for the overall sustainability strategy and also the execution agenda. So besides setting the strategy, I also have to coordinate and drive the overall agenda within Ideal, recommend and present various initiatives, policies, and also communicate with other senior management representatives who in turn are responsible for driving sustainability agenda in their respective divisions and units. So it's all very spread out in a very equal way.
Okay. So in the sustainability report, it mentions a holistic approach to sustainability. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, so sustainability is one of the cornerstones of our business strategy, one of the main cornerstones. And therefore, we're working towards fully integrating sustainability into the DNA of the company. So it's really one of the main business perspectives that we are taking into consideration when planning for new endeavors and planning for our upcoming year.
Okay. And obviously I can see a lot of work has gone into that report, but how has it been communicated to date and what sort of response are you seeing?
So we have published the report, and also important to know on the transparency perspective that we have also published the supporting sustainability policy as well as the code of conduct of Ideal Sweden to external business partners on our website. So that was the initial pathway towards communication. We have also posted on our social media channels such as Instagram and LinkedIn, as well as notified some of our most important external stakeholders in person and via email. And all stakeholders have responded really well to the report. Since this was our very first one, the stakeholders are really happy to see it. It has been written in a comprehensive way, as well as aligned to the GRI reporting standards, which made it really understandable and receivable, easily readable and receivable. And also it's aligned to the SDG progress reporting standards. So yeah, well received and all.
But I think based on our sort of previous conversations, it's sort of interesting to note that the report is certainly available, but it's not something that's been woven into your sort of marketing and PR. So it's very much available and it's sort of functional, but it's not forming a core part of your sort of outward marketing. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, Ideal's brand image and perception is obviously closely aligned with style and fashion, and as a result, does Ideal of Sweden face increased scrutiny or skepticism because of the spotlight on greenwashing and human rights issues in the fashion industry?
Not really, to be honest, since we are very transparent with communicating on our sustainability strategy, supporting policies, as mentioned before, initiatives and progress.
Mm.
It's more the stakeholder pressure that to do more and faster rather than skepticism and scrutiny in our case, because people, consumers, and the others, investors, they are understanding that it's a challenge, as discussed with other speakers previously. It's no one can tackle it alone, and everybody understands that. So it's more the pressure to really engage in networks and integrate new solutions faster.
Okay. So within your report, you highlight sort of 6 key challenges: climate change, human rights, changing regulatory landscape, which I appreciate is a fun one, achieving circularity, stakeholder expectations, diversity, and inclusion. From that, wonderful lineup, which one, is the greatest challenge for you, and why?
Funny to say wonderful lineup. I wish
Oh,
the lineup was much smaller. But yeah, if I have to choose, I would say climate change, since climate risks are at the top of the risk list for the planet, I guess. And for example, climate change impacts on weather patterns, and it's already putting a strain on raw material availability, on the prices of such materials. It interrupts production, disrupts supply chains, among other variables within our value chain. And climate change impact is also increasing our internal stakeholder pressure, as said before, to drop more stringent and more efficient environmental and social action plans. Um, so this is really a 360 degrees kind of necessity to be aware, respond, and mitigate. Hence, it's at the top.
yeah. Okay. Is it confusing for brands, given the growing landscape of third-party providers and different ethical and sustainable standards on offer in different countries?
Um, yes, it is mostly because so the regulatory landscape, as you said, it's funny and it keeps evolving and changing at such a high pace. And we're currently mapping the compliance landscape in order to ensure that our products are in line with all necessary standards, as well as we're reviewing changes on an annual basis. And we really try to comply with the requirements of also our partners within different geographies. But it does put a bureaucratic strain on the company, and we try to do as much as we can. But yeah, it's a bit stressful, to be honest. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. So the appetite for change can be there, but the different legislation in different countries, and then again, when it's changing, can make it a challenge.
Indeed, and but we are on it. We are aware and we are on it, and I think that's the right pathway to start.
Okay. CO2 reduction. The report commits to reducing output, but doesn't commit to a target or to a percentage. Can you explain, why that's the case?
Sure. So 2020 is considered our baseline year for carbon accounting, a year where we really learned how our emissions are distributed over all 3 scopes. Also, we identified where the environmental impact hotspots lie within our value chain mostly. We then have spent the rest of the year to understand, which is not even ended yet. No, sorry, yeah. So within 2021, it has not even ended yet. So we are still understanding and analyzing where we should allocate our focus and resources and set the right reduction activities. And there are basically 2 different reasons why we have not yet set the targets. It's more important, in my perspective and the company's perspective, to drive action towards reduction than setting actual targets, because it's the actions that will help us survive, not the setting targets,
Yep.
just to look good. And also, we are currently trying to step away from the spend-based method as described at the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, and move towards more the hybrid method. And the difference is that the spend-based method estimates emissions for goods and services based on data on the economic value and then multiplying by relevant secondary emission factors, whereas we want to move towards physical intensity data. So hence, we want to improve our data collection first and improve our accounting before we set our targets. So because this initial assessment really shows approximate, I would say like 90% accuracy, and our emission landscape. So we really want to be really sure before we set our targets. But rest assured, we are doing actions first, as said, besides setting the targets.
Yeah. No. I just, I thought it was important to highlight, rather than like a lot of companies who put fake-ish targets, I guess, out there, and then obviously don't meet them. It's far more, again, transparent to be taking the approach I think that you are. So the report was compiled in conjunction with PricewaterhouseCoopers. How was that sort of collaborative experience?
Nothing bad to say. It was really a really good experience, and we will continue to collaborate with them in the following year. And so to start with, PwC had successfully communicated the reporting requirements from a legal perspective that were applicable towards our company, provided feedback for the report drafts, as well as, besides the assurance of the whole report, provided us with suggestions for the improvement for the following year. So it's been a really great collaboration.
Good to hear. Okay, so I think final question, because I think we're pretty much bang on time, which is amazing. Based on, I think, on your experience, what are the hardest issues for brands that are sort of at the start of their sustainability journey, and what advice would you offer?
I guess the hardest is to know where to start to identify the scope of the strategy. And I would say start with educating yourself as much as you can from different perspectives, from reading different scientific reports, different frameworks available online, be part of network, engage with consultancies, etc., and just start. Many brands are afraid that they're doing little things, but I would say don't be afraid to do little, because there's nothing worse than doing nothing at all. And identify the biggest challenges for a business, identify values that you stand for, and by combining those in one, create a strategy that creates value for you and consumer and planet at the end of the day, because we all share the same address, so might as well do the little things.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, Alina, thank you very much again for your time and insights on your first sustainability report, which I can obviously share as a link, but I thoroughly recommend having a look. So yes, basically, thank you everybody for joining us for the first Flock Online session. If anybody has any particular questions or would like to get in touch with any of the speakers, please contact me directly and I'll happily put you in touch.